Well, I want to say today we have, and we were thinking about talking about it last week, but now I think everyone's had the time to receive all their BC assessments. So we're going to talk all about BC assessments, maybe into the second session, but we do have something else. Ooh, it's the ugly talk in the room right now. Everyone's talking about it, this horrible other tax, another tax that the government wants to implement. Well, we're going to talk about that in the second session. But you got your BC assessment?
I sure did. Yeah, no, I looked at mine right away and then went online and, snooped around in all my friends and family members' houses too.
That's the fun of the website, bcassessment.ca. There's actually some fun information you can find there. And if you scroll down, and you can actually pop out of the map and click your neighbor's property and have a look at theirs. And you can hit recently sold properties. And albeit all of my, evaluations that I do and everything, I do have a quick look there. I definitely don't rely on it because, wow, they don't assess it. They don't do it like a realtor or an appraiser would. But it is interesting to see what's sold recently and all that good stuff on the site.
Absolutely. And I mean, it's mind-boggling how much things went up here in the Fraser Valley in just the last year.
Oh, yes. And actually, I've broke it down. And I know last week we had our monthly stats show, and we actually went year over year everywhere. But now I see what all the assessments in the different areas have gone, and we're going to compare it with, a lot of them with what the actual true market value, how it's gone up compared to the BC assessment value, which will be interesting. Yeah. So without further ado, let me just write that time. Okay. So why a big increase in your home's value doesn't always mean a big property tax hike. I'm going to answer some questions this show that a lot of people have. Not everyone, I shouldn't say that. Most people, a lot of people think that if their assessment values go up, their property taxes automatically go up. And we did have a manager of the BC assessment out of Abbotsford in our show. Was that 2 years ago, Curtis, or was it about 3 now?
I think we're probably getting close to 3 years ago, I think.
Yeah, 2.5 or more. Yeah. So if anybody wants to go back to that episode, it is on Country 107.1's website, and as well as mine under podcast or radio show, or go on our podcast and have a look or listen to that show. However, some things to know about your home's assessed value and what that does or doesn't mean for your listing price or property taxes is what we're going to talk about right now. While seeing a change in your home's assessed value might make your eyes grow wide, there's no reason to speculate or panic. Some worry that a big jump in the homes assessed directly translates into that higher property taxes. I mean, that's what it seems like has been on the street and what we've all heard before. But while it can be the case, sometimes it's not quite that simple. Or what if you're thinking of selling? Does the assessment give any indication of what your home might fetch on the market? Not quite that either. Here are some things to know about your home's assessed value and what that does or doesn't mean for your listing price or property taxes. So the first question, does my home assessed value impact what my home might sell for? Well, not necessarily. The economist with the Real Estate Board of Greater Vancouver, Keith Stewart, says, so both the assessed value and its listing price are really just guideposts that are hopefully in the neighborhood of what the final value is going to be. Today, the answer to the question everyone has, what's my home worth? The answer is we don't truly know until you test the market. How many evaluation appointments have I been in when, of course, they ask, what's my home value worth? And I can give them a minimum. I would definitely not sell it under this price, but that's not the price it's going to sell for. It's going to sell for higher, but nobody knows that until you actually give it the exposure, put it on the marketplace, show it to the best ability that it can, let every single buyer and realtor know about your property by not just the MLS, realtor.ca, but so many different avenues, and you will have droves of buyers through, and you will should have a lot of multiple offers. I think recently, the last week, at least the highest number that I heard from a local realtor who got offers was 41 offers for one house.
That's a lot of offers to go through. Holy cow.
Can you imagine?
Man, and think that somebody probably just edged somebody out by just the smallest of margins, too, to get the place.
Exactly. That's a lot of offers. I don't know if they just priced it initially way too low, and that's why there were so many, because that's a lot. But last week I also heard of somebody getting over 30 offers. So,
well, you may recall one of the houses we put a bid on when we were looking for our house. The first we put a bid on, there was 21.
Yeah, that is extreme. Takes hours to go through all the fine lines of all those offers. So another question is, what can my home's assessed value tell me about how it might do on the market, and can I use it to determine my listing price? Well, the assessed value of a home is determined based on its condition, the market, and other factors current as of July 1st of any given year. It essentially tells you what your home may have sold for, all caps, May, on July 1st of the previous year. However, assessments are mailed out to homeowners in January of the following year, which means the state of the property and market conditions may have also changed since the July assessment. As a result, what a home could have sold for would have likely also have changed, of course. Another question a lot of people have, do assessments mean different things or for condos and townhouses and detached homes? Well, BC Assessments database will often have more accurate information for newer properties, such as condos, because older properties like detached homes, if we're speaking old or new, may have had work done that isn't noted in the database. If the city doesn't send the information in to BC Assessments about permits being approved, or if individuals did work without the required permits, they wouldn't know. And typically in townhouses and condos, they pretty much stay the same. But with detached properties, you could build a detached shop. You can have all those greenhouses. The landscaping could have a couple $100,000 in it or more. I mean, there's all sorts of upgrades that a detached property could have. That's a bit harder to put into a townhouse or a condo, and that's why there's so many different variables that BC Assessments may not know about your property. It may not have been sold for years and years. There could be somebody who has lived in there for 45 years, and if it was sold last year, it would actually have a higher assessed value because of the way the percentages go year over year, and if the BC Assessments never knew about any upgrades. I've seen properties showing 140,000 or whatnot on the assessment, but they're worth, over $1 million. So definitely look at all those different aspects. And Curtis, you may have to keep me on time today because I wasn't paying attention to time, and you know how I like to talk.
I'm well aware. I'm well aware of what you can do with time. You've still got yourself a good 3.5 minutes.
Oh, good, because I have a lot to fill in for that. To 3 minutes, maybe stretch it to 4. No.
That would be unlike you.
Often the database that the BC Assessment also uses is based on what information is offered when a property is listed for sale through the MLS. But what if it was an exclusive listing? What if it was a private sale? Or, then they wouldn't have that information. But they do pay attention to the MLS. So that's why if you recently sold, sometimes it can jump a bit higher than it would just average overall along with the rest of your municipality or city. So the BC Assessment website shows comparable homes and recent sales in your area, as you mentioned before, Curtis, earlier. But is that a tool, or is it a tool my real estate agent can use to decide a listing price? Well, while assessment values don't directly translate into a home's listing or selling price, buyers and sellers do check the BC Assessment website, most of them do, for information that can help in a decision to buy or sell. So as far as when you're looking at selling or buying, and if you want to look at the assessed value for your property type, for other recent sales, and just for things that are just in the neighborhood that have turned over. If you notice anything particular in there, that it's great publicly accessible data. It's easy. bcassessment.ca. What's the assessed value? Punch in the address and you'll see it there. It's also a place where if a property doesn't show as sold in the past 3 years, again, because maybe it was a private sale or the realtor involved, it was an exclusive sale, then it'll show up on the BC Assessment's website for that property, but it wouldn't be on the MLS system for realtors to know. So that's why I like checking that history as well on there, and you may too. So with that, let's just go on our break here, and we'll come back with more.
Look at you. You're actually almost bang on time.
Once in a while.
It does happen. Well, people might want more information about assessments, about what you do as a realtor and things like that. Where can they go?
Well, they can go to michelecummins.ca.
We're back with more right after this.